an interactive function called filet new recipe. But now I've changed it to be a non-interactive function that just returns it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the next instance of the System Crafters Hack Sessions. I'm David Wilson, and today we're going to continue looking into the EXWM window manager for Emacs and try to see if we can do anything to help improve it, and also learn some things about writing a window manager and doing that with Emacs Lisp. So I'm going to wait until people start filing in a little bit and try to fix something else on my side while I'm doing that. Just try to see if I can get some of this chat relaying to the other services. I don't know exactly how to do that, but just looking into it really quickly. Thought I saw an option for this at some point in the past, but apparently it's elusive. So yeah, last time we managed to make some progress learning about managed to make some progress learning about how to use the X window system APIs through the I guess it's the XELB protocol, which is pretty cool because it's basically a protocol you can use to communicate with the X window system and do all types of window management things purely through that. So it gives you the ability to use any language you want to interact with the current X window system, and that's exactly how EXWM is communicating with X window system to be a window manager. Is basically communicating over this XELB protocol using the XELB library that's written in Emacs Lisp. So pretty cool. A little bit of information that we figured out last time, and we're going to continue with that. Hey Daigo, the Kaka78 and Anders. The Kaka asks, are you satisfied with the current performance of EXWM? Sometimes when I use LSP, my whole Emacs gets really slow. Well, I think the problem there is LSP mode, and more specifically, the language server that's being used. And that all sort of brings down Emacs performance, which affects EXWM performance because EXWM is sort of beholden to the main event loop of Emacs. So I believe, if it only happens when you're using LSP mode or a language server, then it's definitely related to the language server itself or LSP mode. LSP mode is fine as far as performance is concerned. I think sometimes it's just the language server that drags things down. So you might consider using a different language server for your language. Usually there's at least a couple for each language, so you might try a different one just to see if you get any better results on that. As far as like making EXWM more friendly to load in Emacs, I suppose. There's not a whole lot you can do right now, just because the main Emacs process or the main Emacs thread itself is the one that's communicating with XELB. So anything that causes Emacs to slow down is going to cause performance issues or seeming performance issues for EXWM. Hey, Wind Up Boy and Horatio. All right, so what I wanted to try to do today is to continue getting a good sort of testing setup for EXWM put together. We started doing that at the end of the stream last week, and I think it went pretty well. We started using Xephyr to run test sessions of EXWM in a separate X session, basically, so that we didn't have to restart the current session that I'm using or even run it in a VM. So we're actually running a separate X Windows system session on this machine using Xephyr, without any other kind of virtualization, which is pretty nice. That's all because of the way that X Windows system works. It's got the whole client server model, and you can have multiple displays that have independent X sessions. So pretty cool stuff there. Also want to set up some way to debug into what's happening with EXWM. There actually is a built-in way to do that, which I'll show. And then we're going to try to see if we can fix a bug. And I've got one bug picked out, but we may have to look at other bugs depending on how it goes. But pretty straightforward to look into. And so long as I can reproduce it consistently, we should be able to try and fix that. Okay, so let's get back to what we were doing the last time with the startup script. So let me pull that back up one more time. code EXWM, and then was it test EXWM.sh? Okay. Andre says, yes, it's an X11 server, which rendered the screen by a X11 server and not hardware. Yeah. All right, so we were calling it to Xephyr. I think what I would try to do last time was set the DPI, and I think right after the stream finished, I was able to get that to work. Let me check what I did here. Yeah, I need to set this up, I think. I can't remember if I was doing this inside of a Geeks session. I should write down more notes about how I'm running all this. That's right, I think I did that. Or no, Benoit and I talked about that afterward. That's probably a good way to do it, to run this inside of Geeks. But we'll try that in a little bit maybe, but let's do this first. Just want to get back to where we were the last time and see if we can get things running again. All right, so what I'm gonna do is run this test EXWM.sh. And I'm trying to see if the font size is gonna be big enough whenever it loads. The only thing I don't like is it does take a little while for this to boot up. I think I had one other issue too with the mode line. Okay, so it's displaying pretty well. I think the font size is good. I don't really care about the menu and stuff. In fact, I might just go try to turn that stuff off. But yeah, we at least had this set up. And if I were to, I need a way to run an app. Can I move that? Awesome, that's great. So, I forgot to set this up to go into care mode. Toggle input. There we go. What? No. EXWM toggle. Input toggle keyboard. Okay. Super I. I forgot what the key binding was for that. All right. Hey, Firelights and Bulbous Bullfrog. I can't speak this morning, obviously. All right. So, oh, geez. Start process. Jeez, okay. I need a launcher for this, and I do have one handy. App launcher. Yeah, let's really exit Emacs. Xterm display 1. Yeah, I could definitely do that. In fact, maybe that's the right way to do it. I should just pop up eShell and just run whatever program I want to test things out. I could also launch something from within the configuration, and if you don't remember the last time, we had set up a EXWM test config, so I've got a init.el here that we're using to load up the local copy of EXWM. And I could probably launch something else after EXWM finishes initializing. So start, wow, why is this not showing up right? There we go. Start process shell command. I think that's what it is, right? Checking the function, start process shell command. Okay, so, what program will I run? If I can check, was it GNOME Mahjong? Yeah. Okay, let's do that. And then nil, and then GNOME Mahjong. I'll test it here just really quick. Interesting. Oh, okay, there it goes. It finally does load. I think my CPU load may be affecting it a little bit. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is see if I can get GNOME Mahjong to load really quickly. And also, what is the binding for Control X2, is it? Man, this is really slow this morning. Split window, was it right? Can you do that? Split window right? Okay, cool. So I'll do that first. So I'll do split window right. So basically what I'm trying to do here is automate the process of popping up another window to the right and then launching a process in it. Probably should do other window as well. All right, and we can just try this really quickly in vterm, run that one more time, and see if it actually does launch correctly after EXWM initializes. Yeah, control CX2 and CX3. All right, what is it not like here? Other, oh, okay, whatever. Do I have to run that interactively? Is that what the problem is? I also need to... Why does it not do that? I thought I had it set up so the Emacs... Here, look, let's do this really quickly. I'm going to go into my EXWM config. I swear I did this once before, but maybe it's not sticking for some reason. window manage, what is it? There's a manage hook. Yeah, manage finish hook. And then I do a setup window by class. I have Emacs. Okay, so call interactively. EXWM input toggle keyboard does not seem to be working for some reason, but maybe the class name is different at first. Not sure what's going on with that. Basically, I'm trying to make sure that the Emacs window automatically gets the input put into care mode so that I can start typing in Emacs key bindings directly without having to use another key binding to flip it over to that. Hi, Chris P. Felt. All right, so now let's double check other window. Okay, count. And that's probably being picked from the interactive. So I'll just do, wait. So let's do this. I'm gonna split this window. I'm gonna run other window 1. Okay, cool, that's good enough. I'll go back to our init.el, other window 1, and then hopefully that would be enough. Jump back to vterm and then run the script one more time. So yeah, let's see if this will pop up a window, and that will give us the ability to test things pretty easily, I think. Okay, cool, it worked, great. So what I want to do is, excuse me, try to reproduce this bug that I've got loaded up here. So this is a bug that was actually filed pretty recently. And it says that there's an error that shows up whenever the user tries to use iSearch, which is bound to Control S by default in Emacs, I'm pretty sure. If you do iSearch in a normal Emacs buffer and then you click on an X window, for some reason it, let me make sure my camera's not about to fall off. For some reason, causes an error. And it seems like a pretty simple thing, like args out of range. I mean, we should be able to figure out pretty easily what's going on there. So I had mentioned that we want to... thanks, Andre, I appreciate that. So I mentioned that I want to get debugging set up for EXWM or at least XELB, and there is a way to do that. I think there is a... Whoops, let's do this. There is... Let's see, is it XELB? No, is it EXWM debug? Yeah. Okay, so EXWM debug, it's an interactive command. If you run EXWM debug, it actually turns on a buffer that you can find called XELB debug. And if you look at that buffer, it's basically got a listing of all the, I think it's all the messages that are being sent, excuse me, sent to the XEB protocol, so we should be able to see what's going on whenever we try to do this. So what I'm going to do is just see if we can reproduce this issue. I'm going to use, yeah, this is going to get a little bit annoying because it keeps moving anytime I do anything. Control S for iSearch, then I'm going to click in this window. Okay, so good. We see the error down here, args out of range. In fact, we get a stack trace. Kind of wish this window was a little bit bigger, actually. So let's see if we can take a look at what's going on. Did it totally lock up just now? What happened? That's interesting. I wonder... So does the bug say that it makes... Okay, all X windows stop responding to all mouse input. So we definitely reproduce this issue. Keyboard input still works, but they don't respond to mouse events at all. The only way I've found to fix this is to restart Emacs. Now, the problem is... I'm using Control G, and it doesn't seem to be breaking me out of anything. If I use Control XB, it doesn't let me switch buffers. So it has definitely locked up this session. Let me see if I can use Super Q. There we go, cool. At least I can kill it. All right, good to know. Very good to know. Yeah, close that out. All right, so this is going to be a little bit annoying because we're going to have to kill this session every time we trigger the bug, and I actually couldn't save the logs whenever that happened. So I'm going to have to think of a way to save those logs whenever that buffer is written to. It says something about EXWM input fake last command. I had been seeing that in the logs. Okay, so let's think about this for a second. What I would like to do is save the logs to a file. So MiniCan says, how about setq Emacs manage configurations T care mode T for care mode always on? Yeah, I definitely don't want it always on. All right, so what I would like to do is go back to the config we were setting up, and then automatically turn on EXWM debug. Let's see if that requires any parameter. Yeah, everything's optional. That's good. And after I turn that on, I will try to turn on autosave mode. And I wonder if autosave mode gives me the ability... Autosave mode. Let's write this, autosave. Interval. Okay, so, number of input events, number of seconds idle. So if I set the autosave timeout to, let's say, 1 second maybe, or 5 seconds, I can turn on autosave mode in the XELB debug buffer and hopefully save it to a file. So let's do this. setq autosave timeout, set it to 5, is it seconds of idle time? Oops, Lispy bit me there. Seriously, come on. setq autosave timeout 5, and then I want to with current buffer, I think this is what we want to do, and I'll say XELB debug. I think that's the way it's specified. I think this is how this macro is used too, right? With current buffer, execute the forms in body based on the buffer name. Okay. All right, so with this, I want to turn on auto save mode. And before that, I want to save this to a file. So if I save buffer, save buffer, So what's the current file name? I should know this, I made a video about it. Is it current file? The Kaka says, I just reproduced this bug and had to restart LightDM. Yeah, so it's very interesting that it only happens from iSearch. Let's see. Can I save myself some time and go to the Learning Emacs Lisp series? It reminds me I need to change that list of things at the very top. Reading and writing buffers in pet practice. There's a way to set the current buffer. Whoops, I didn't want to go to the video. I want the show notes. Haven't put this on the website yet. Let's see. Current buffer, getting buffer by name, changing the current buffer, changing whatever. Get file buffer. Come on now. Anybody remember the variable that sets the name of the current buffer? Buffer file name. I just remembered that. Okay, buffer file name. That's what we're going to do. So, setq local. It's probably a local variable already. Buffer file name, and I'm going to set that to. Let's just set that to projects code EXWM XELB.log, and then I can hit save buffer. And does that have a parameter? No, it's just optional args. So yeah, I'll set the buffer file name, save the buffer, then turn on auto save mode. So that should be, well, actually, let's put this here too. I can set that locally. In theory, local. Hi, I'm on Linux. All right, so this should be enough to hopefully autosave XELB logs. Let's see what's eating up all my CPU right now. Aside from OBS, obviously. Looks like probably one of the... Qt browser windows. Probably this one. Let's kill it. Okay. Okay. 1 second, please. Yeah, I definitely can still switch modes, minikn. Okay, let's try running this one more time and see if we get the log file being written out. And what I could try to do then is split this window behind and then load up. Oh, there's an error set. Ooh, interesting. What happened with that? We're gonna load up projects, code, EXWM, XELB.log, which does not currently exist. But that's okay. I'm gonna save it and it should auto revert whenever it gets edited. Error occurred while loading init.el. No applicable method. Okay, I think this happens from time to time. I don't know why, but whenever I start things up, it decides, whoa, don't close my Emacs session, please. All right. That's the danger of what I'm doing right now, is that if I hit Control-X, Control-C to get out of the other session, then I might kill my entire stream. Hey, Alex. Okay, let's try this one more time and see if the XEB error goes away. Probably should diagnose that too at some point. So slow. Okay, no buffer named XELB debug. So we might need to check the code really quickly to see when that buffer gets created, or even pre-create the buffer, I suppose, because I think that the logic that writes out... Here, let's look at... I wish it would just go in the current window when I start doing these describe calls. EXWM debug, what does it do in the code? Let's pull it up over here instead. Core, okay. Let's go back to the chat window right here. All right, so I see. So it just flips a flag. XELB, okay. Probably sets a variable inside the XEB library, or the XELB library. Set queue. Is that the function? Debug log time function. No. EXWM debug. Okay, so probably nothing happens until a log gets written whenever it's turned on. So I'm gonna have to pre-create that buffer, which is not a big deal. Let's go back to the init.el just to make sure that it exists before we do anything. So it says that XELB, let's see, so how about we do this? Get create buffer, I believe that's the name of a function. Yeah, oh, get create buffer. Get buffer create, okay, that's the one. Get buffer create, XELB debug. Oops, here, let's put it right there. In fact, I could just do it this way. That way we know that it's gonna happen at the right time. And now I can try to run it one more time and see what happens. So being able to save out the log as things are being written is going to be really helpful to make sure that we can get all the debug logs whenever EXWM crashes or hangs, because obviously that's an issue. Okay, cool. So in theory, this should be working now. Ah, nice. I can even see log messages being written out down here. So now we're getting logs written to this file. And in theory, in about a couple seconds, it should write out more because I'm doing stuff inside of the session. Let's see if it auto saves correctly. So far, I don't see anything being written. Is it auto revert mode? Should be on, right? Oh, it's enabled now? Okay, so it wasn't enabled before. Are you gonna reload it? Let's see what it says here, actually. Control XB, and we're going to look for XELB debug. So there's a lot of stuff in here, which I expected. Yeah, so then let's check, whoops, man. Can I press Control HV, please? There we go, thanks. All right, so we're looking for buffer file name. That's correct. We're looking for auto save mode. That's nil. Okay, so global autosave. Okay, so just autosave mode. Autosave mode. Disabled. Okay, so it was disabled. Maybe this is just not reverting correctly. Let me check projects code EXWM XELB.log. Yeah, so it doesn't seem to be writing the file out, which is a little bit annoying. Let's see. Let me think about this for a second. I wonder if it's not auto-saving because the buffer name doesn't look like a file. I guess now we have to go look into auto-save mode, right? Oh, yeah, save it. That worked. So clearly it's not auto-saving correctly. Because as soon as I save the buffer, this populated. So I think that autosave mode is not loading correctly. So let's check autosave mode. No, not variable. Autosave mode. And toggle autosaving, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. It's really annoying. Simple.el. Okay. Let's pull this back over. Firefox. Okay. So buffer autosave file name. Ah. Buffer autosave file name. Name of file for autosaving current buffer. Well, that's cool. Maybe I should set that instead. I don't know when that gets set. Let's see. Buffer. Come on. Let's go. Buffer autosave file name. Autosave mode. Okay, interesting. So toggling it. If autosave is off because buffer has shrunk, then toggling should turn it on. I don't know what that means. And then it has a lambda. It sets the autosave file name. I wonder if it sets it itself. Is that what happens? Condition null. I don't understand. Oh, val. Okay, if value is null, set it to nil. Yeah, I'm not sure what this variable syntax does here. Kind of interesting. But it then pulls buffer file name, basically. If and buffer file name, autosave visited file name, not buffer read only. Did I? Oh, is it set to read only? No, it's not, because I was typing in it by accident. So what is this autosave visited file name? Nil. Non-nil says autosave a buffer in the file it is visiting when practical. Autosave visited file name. Let's grab the docs on that. Oh, autosave visited mode. Man, this is super annoying. I need to set my display buffer A list correctly because this is starting to drive me nuts. Helpful. Autosave visited mode. Let's get out of here. Non-nil if autosave visited mode is enabled. Well, tell me what it does. See the command for a description of this minor mode. Okay. Toggle automatic saving to file visiting buffers on or off. Toggle the mode if arg is toggle. Okay, it's just like boilerplate docs. Okay, so shackle.el. Maybe. Is Karthik here? Oh, he did popper. Shackle is Wasamasa, I think. Okay, so what I want is that autosave visited mode. Autosave visited mode. Toggle automatic saving to file visiting buffers. Okay, so maybe, I don't know if I need to have both on, so I'm just gonna leave them both on because I don't trust it. So autosave visited mode, right? Visited mode 1. Yeah, autosave visited mode. Now, we should be able to run this again with vterm. And then see if it saves that log out. Let's pull that log back up here, actually. And maybe I needed to try cleaning that log file out before writing new things to it as well. So I'll do that in a second. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, so I've got the interval set to about 5 seconds, so maybe we'll see some output written here in a few more seconds. Okay, I think something did happen. That's great. Cool, I think it's working now. So that should be able to give us a log externally to the Emacs session in case we have any issues. And let's actually try that out now. I'm gonna use, well, okay. Probably I should set that interval to be, nah, let's not worry about that. Here, let's do this. Control S, and then click on the window. We got the error. Let's see if the, okay, we got some logs writing out here. That's great. So I'm gonna kill this now. And then I'm going to kill the Emacs process. So we can pull this insane stack trace on button press line mode. All right, so I want to save this information. So this happened around 45 seconds in. Where was the control S? Does it write that down somewhere? Buffer list update, set active window. Focus on window 3, scratch. Buffer list update. Okay, so let's just copy this stack trace. I want to keep my hands on this. I mean, there's a whole lot of crap in here that probably isn't going to make a whole lot of sense, but at least we can take a look at it and try to digest it. So let's take this stuff. Okay, so I'll drop this into the EXWM hacking.org file. All right, so how about this? Bug investigations. And then what number was this? 842. Bug. 842, hang when clicking on X window after iSearch. Log. Okay, it's not shell, but we're just gonna do this anyway. All right, so I dropped that in here, just so we have it. And now I'm going to, whoops. Whoa. Come on, dude. Okay, anyway. I was trying to open it up in edit other or whatever it was. Org, edit, special. Yeah, why is that key binding not working here? Control C, single quote. Oh, no such language in nil mode. Okay, whatever, dude. So maybe I'll set this up as text. Is that gonna work? Okay. Oof, I don't like how it screwed up my window config. Let's just take a look at this for a second and see if we can understand what's happening, which I'm guessing the answer will be no, because this is pretty obtuse, but we'll see. All right, so something called backtrace. So there was enough of an error that backtrace got called. On button press line mode, we might have to go find out what this function does. I'm guessing this is for whenever you click with the mouse down, mouse 1 is the event, it seems. Let's see. Yeah, this code is crazy. Set window point. So the error that we're getting is something about a indexing a list, I think. Kind of curious what we're looking at here. Is this like a whole let block? Okay, that's one let block. That's another. This is one. And and it must be here. So save excursion, go to care point max, it goes to the end of the buffer, let standard output, get buffer create, XCB debug, buffer backtrace. So that's where they actually wrote out the backtrace log to the XCB debug buffer, it seems. Let Windows EOB. What does that do? See another save excursion. So if you know what save excursion does, it basically saves the location of the cursor in a given buffer so that you can do some other operation inside of a buffer. And then once that code block is finished, it puts the cursor and the point location, the point location and selection and everything back to what it was before. So usually you see that when someone's trying to extract information from a buffer automatically. Window point W, point max, prog set Windows EOB. I don't even know what that is. What is Windows EOB? Windows EOB? That must be, okay, so hold on. That's this Windows EOB local variable, okay. Windows EOB, I'm guessing that means end of buffer, maybe? Do list tail. While do list tail, is this like a, oh, is this like a tail recursion? I'm making some assumptions here. Car do list tail, oh, it's tailing the log? Okay, this looks like log writing code and not actually code that is related to what happened. But here we go. So here's some other stuff that may be more useful. So progin EXWM input fake last command, run hooks pre, oh, okay. I think I see what's happening here. So EXWM might be trying to replay the last command that happened inside of the buffer after you switch focus to the window. And it runs this fake last command function and is trying to run iSearch again. So I think something wrong is happening there. Maybe this is EXWM input fake last command is doing the wrong thing. Let's actually check this out. So Matthew says, is your Emacs becoming passive aggressive? It could be. I don't really know exactly what you're referring to at this point, but yeah, it could be. Who knows? All right, so EXWM, what was it called? Fake last command. Okay, don't even get that one. Is that like a hidden function somehow? EXWM fake? Where is this function? Fake key, okay. Let's see, fake last command. If fake last command, how about that? What's that? Fake last command. This must be in the code somewhere inside of EXWM. So in fact, let's just go to code, EXWM, and then I'm gonna use ripgrep and look for fake last command and see where that's coming from. No. Okay, so here we go. All right. Fool some packages into thinking there is a change in the buffer. Why would you want to do that? So who calls this fake last command? When event. David says, I bet in one of these hack sessions, David is going to accidentally create a whaling compositor in Emacs. Well, at some point, we're going to intentionally try to create one, but it won't be for a while, probably. When event. This could be where it's happening. Okay, on key press. So we saw the on button, I think. On button press line mode. So this is one of the functions inside of the stack trace, and probably is calling. Well, somehow it's doing the fake event thing. Let's actually check this out. So yeah, it's happening right at the point where this on button press line mode is being called with the event of down mouse 1. Something in here is calling that. So EXWM input mimic read event pass through. That's like a predicate function. Cache event unread event. Let's see. What does this function do? Unread event. Actually, let's do this. Unread, oops, undread. Unread event. Interesting. I don't actually know what this def subst does. Define an inline function. Okay. I mean, I guess you could use a lambda for that, but maybe this does compiling because this is doing eval and compile. All right, so let's look for fake last command usages one more time. In fact, how about this? Fake last command. I'm gonna use embark and collect these, or is it export? Okay. Let's pull that up over here. This is embark collect. I haven't shown embark on the channel yet, but it's pretty useful for things like this. Whoops, Firefox. Okay. Yeah, Bubbles Bullfrog says, what does fake last command do? Yeah, we're gonna figure that out and see what's going on. Hey, Apurv, or Apurv. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. There we go. That's working. That's great. Okay, so fake last command is being called inside of on key press, on button press. This may be the function that we're actually dealing with. On button press, yeah, with current buffer, WinDrive mode, P, EXWM mode. Then based on the input mode, whether it's line mode or care mode, then it calls a different function. Hey, Eric. And then there is a fake last command here. And who's defining that? Fake last command. I don't see a variable called that, but is it in here somewhere? Fake last? I mean, we didn't see it, right? Last command. Is it inside of a let? Yes, that seems to be being defined in this let. So fake last command is a local variable, which it's kind of a problem because you can't tell by looking at the code whether this is a local variable or a global variable, because it looks like it could be something in Emacs, but it's just a naming convention problem. Click to focus. And the function we're currently in is on button press. Okay, this is, I would guess that, yeah, okay, so the flow seems to be on button press gets called first. This is the function we're currently looking at. Then it makes these two happen. And then on button press line mode gets called, which we saw. But what I'm guessing is something happens after the line mode call. So with current buffer. And there's a T here, but what does that relate to? Okay, so that happened. Okay, then when fake last command, EXWM input fake last command. So that's being set to true here. I don't see it being set to true elsewhere, but how about this? Set Q fake last command. Oh, it did it. All right, so it is being set to true here. All right, so we know now why that fake last command is being called. So the question then becomes, how do we get it to not cause the problem that it's causing? Fake last command. So set Q last command, EXWM input no op, run hooks pre-command hook, run hooks post-command hook. Now the interesting thing here, I think what's happening, based on the stack trace, it's running run hooks pre-command hook, but for whatever reason, it's running the iSearch pre-command hook instead of this EXWM input no op. So is last command an actual, oops, I think it's an actual, yeah, it's an actual variable inside of Emacs. Evil force normal state. So, what we could try to do is log out the value of last command right before this run hooks happens to see if it's not what we expect it to be, which it should be, right? You would think. But somehow iSearch may be jumping back in and resetting it. I wonder if there is a focus change. Well, something is setting it back before the pre-command hook gets run. It seems. That's sort of my intuition here, is that for whatever reason, the iSearch pre-command hook is being set back whenever run hooks is getting called. Let's see if run hooks is called anywhere else in this file. Okay, so there's another run hooks. but that's a different one. We're looking for a specifically run hooks pre-command hook. Yeah, there's only one instance of that in this file. And obviously we know it's coming from EXWM input fake last command because in the stack trace, this comes right after. So we're right there. So yeah, let's try that out. We can use EXWM debug or EXWM log. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. We'll try this out. We'll write a log message. Whoa, thanks, Lispy. So last command. Let's do some print line debugging here. Last command. And now let's try to run it again, vterm. And we'll see what happens. I also should have, hold on. Let's do something else really quick. I want to clear out that buffer before. Yeah, I want to clear out that buffer before we do anything. So we don't keep seeing the same stuff over and over again. So let's go back to the init. And then with current buffer, well, before I do that, I want to, let's see, with current file. Oops, that's a macro. With current file. I need to set up some kind of key casting thing on here. With file. With temp file, no. Come on, is there not a macro for temporarily opening a file? All right, how about this? What was, let's see, I had something, whoops, in here. Find file, no select. Okay, with current buffer, find file, no select. So let's do that. So with current buffer, find file, no select. And we'll pull in this log path. And probably, let's do this. Set q dw EXWM log path. And we'll set that. Whoops, I probably don't need that in this session. Yeah, oops, EXWM log path. And here we'll also use the same thing, EXWM log path. You could echo nothing into the log file in your startup script. Yeah, that's possible too. That's a good point. Okay, so we got that here. And with current buffer, let's see. What was it? Let's see. There's a function for setting the region. Set region. Let's open my show notes again. At least it was useful that I created these show notes so that I can refer to them myself in the future. So region. There we go. Delete region, point max. So I can do point min, point max on that. That's great. So I'll just paste that in right here. Delete region, point min, point max. And then save buffer. MiniKan says, couldn't you use edebug mode to interactively debug the function? I can't because it locks up Emacs whenever this thing gets triggered. All right, so with current buffer, find file, no select, EXWM log path, delete region, save buffer. Okay, so that should be enough to save this. Let's go into vterm, run it again, and we'll see really quick whether this file gets trashed. Let it load up. Okay. And once again, this weird XEB request error that shows up. I think, whoa, no thanks. Gonna get myself into trouble, I swear. Let's see. Ah, right, okay. What the hell's happening? Cannot resolve key sim. Okay, hopefully don't have a problem here. All right, let's see. pgrep Emacs. Do I have stale sessions? No. So it's really weird that all of a sudden it's refusing to launch. Okay, thank God. About to say, if we can't launch EXWM anymore in Xephyr, we're gonna have a problem. Okay, EXWM log path. Oh, yeah, I wrote the wrong thing. That's fine. We'll just do this one more time, and then it should be fine. init.el, I set EXWM log path. That needs to have a DW in front of it. And I think that's... Oh, nope, that one too. I know you just saw me use my mouse. I will whip myself later for that. vterm. Let's go. Okay, let's see. What are we saying in the chat? Ahmed says, Lol, I'm nervous that everything will fail and I'm not the one doing the work. Yeah, well, don't be nervous. It's all good. HK says, what are we doing? Yeah, we're trying to fix a bug in EXWM. Thankfully, it seems to be a very simple bug to investigate. So what we're trying to do right now is develop a strategy for diagnosing issues inside of EXWM, especially whenever EXWM either hangs or crashes. So we're trying to basically get logs to be written out to a file so we can examine them after the fact. And yeah, I think we're good now. And the important thing is that... I think that worked. Cool, yeah. And the important thing is that now we're writing out another message whenever this bug gets triggered. So hopefully we should be able to get some information about what the command is. So let's kill this Emacs session and go look for last command. There we go, okay. So interestingly, last command says EXWM input no op, and I have no idea why all of a sudden it would change to something else. And I'm trying to think of like a good way to diagnose that. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe I can try to turn on debug on error and see if it will stop right at the point where this out of bounds happens, because we need to figure out why iSearch is getting invoked here. Okay, so what I'll do, let's just turn it on here. Toggle debug on error, make sure that that can be run interactively without being run interactively. What does interactively do? Let's see. Toggle whether to debug to enter the Lisp debugger when an error is signaled in an interactive call. Record this option as a candidate for saving. Oh, okay, I don't care about that. Eric says, how long will you stream? Probably for 1 more hour. Tunomoc says, it's nice to chill and watch David debug after a day of writing a major P1 incident post-mortem doc. That sounds like it was not very fun. All right, so we've got toggle debug on error. Let's see. Let's just add some comments here. Turn on EXWM logging and XELB logging. Check XELB debug buffer. I'm going to try to check this code in somewhere, or at least add it to the notes so that people can also go try this out if they want to on their own time. Enter the debugger when an error is encountered. It could be the case that this doesn't get triggered, so we'll have to see about that. Clear the existing log file. And then autosave EXWM XELB logs. Okay, so now let's go back and try this one more time. Maybe the debugger will pop. We'll see. I hope so. I mean, what I'm guessing is that, yeah, so there's another way to look at this. There's an error that happens, and it's not being handled correctly, and it causes EXWM's behavior to break afterwards. So another solution to this problem could just be to make EXWM more resilient in this case so that it doesn't completely get blocked. And we could try to do that too. All right, so I'm going to try to repro the bug again. Control S in this buffer, click in this buffer. Okay, so it says arg's out of range. I don't see it pulling up the debugger. So it seems that, yeah, because it gets locked up, we don't get the pleasure of going and checking out what happened. So that's unfortunate. So let's see. Same old stuff. So the error is happening inside of, or let's see, perhaps you could instrument EXWM input fake last command so that edebug kicks in before the crash. That's actually a good point. There's a way that you can do that. There's like a way to watch a variable. Let's see. Oh, come on. Give me a break, dude. End of file during parsing. I love it how these describe functions, or at least the helpful describe functions, sometimes want to give you trouble. Because it's trying to get the symbol at point, and then it can't, so it gets upset. All right. So toggle debug variable. What is the name of that function? Watch variable. Add variable watcher? No. Debug variable. Debug on variable change. Okay, so we can do that. Debug on variable change. Trigger a debugger invocation when variable is changed. When called interactively, prompt for variable in the mini buffer. I'm guessing you pass it by symbol. So what I'll do is debug on variable change, and then we will do that. Well, actually, I wonder if we can do that, because that variable oh, yes, wait, it sets the last command, right? Last command variable. Give me a break, dude. It's starting to get really annoying. Thank you. Last command. All right, so let's, oh, you know what? This is gonna be a nightmare because last command changes literally all the time. What's the best way to trigger this? I can set some advice on fake last command, potentially, and then before it gets called, I could set this, but then fake last command may also be getting called frequently, so let's see. In fact, we could check that out. Fake last command. So at 29 seconds in. Okay, so it was only the once. Maybe we could do that. Kind of annoying. So is it add advice? Oh, advice add. Advice add. Okay, so I'm going to do advice add on the function symbol, EXWM input, fake last command, where I'll say around, potentially. Let's see. This is add function. Oh, is it a keyword? Obviously, I don't use advice add very frequently. Natively function like add function, but for the function named symbol. Contrary to add function, this will properly handle the cases where symbol is defined as a macro alias command. Cool. Where is used there. Add function where cond. Okay. So if it's around. Okay. So debug on variable change, we want that to be last command, but we only want to add it inside of advice. And with advice add, yes. Tell me what the function signature is, dude. Function optional props. So I'm guessing I just need to pass in a lambda here. And fake last command takes no. Fake last, excuse me. That's a defun. I don't know why all of a sudden it acts like it doesn't exist. Control U CMX inside the defun. EXWM no op was a function, right? Would instrumenting start debugger before it freezes? I don't know, because it doesn't seem to be calling it unless this is being called some other way. The Kaka78 says, do we have a fork to which maybe we can contribute as well? Well, I have a fork on my personal GitHub account, but I haven't started committing there yet. But as soon as I do, you could definitely try to commit there instead. Okay. So let's go to the code really quick. EXWM input.el. Fake last command takes no parameters. That's even better. So let me check out the advice for this really quick. Sorry, the manual. Is there a manual entry? Manual, view in manual. Thank you. This is gonna piss me off. Info. Okay, let's get that over here. Go back to Firefox so I can see the chat. Okay, so advice as symbol where the function blah blah blah. Advice remove. I want to see an example basically. There we go. Add function around symbol function fun. Yeah, I don't need to do that I think because I can do that with advice add. Tracing function. Okay, so how about I pop up this level around original function rest args. Okay, that's how I need to define this. So how about we do it that way? I'm going to jump back into init.el. I'll do an actual defun. Let's see. EXWM fake command wrapper. Let's call it that. Original function rest args. And I think that's how the example had it in the info page. Original function. Okay, yeah, whatever. So now we can set debug on variable change, and we can also do anything else we want to do here before the function gets called, so we can log it if we want to. So what I'm going to do is invoke the function, probably use fun call, I guess. Whoa. Fun call, or is it apply? What are you doing? Yeah, okay, apply original function args, okay. So apply orig fun args, and that should be enough, hopefully. Let's make sure that our advice is going to get invoked. Look into, let's see, input.el. We'll steal that log message. We'll drop it in right here. We'll say advice invoked. Just delete that stuff here. Okay, so advice invoked. We'll turn on the debug. And then I need to go and then add this before. Whoops. Okay, put it right here. Advice add. And then DW EXWM fake command wrapper. Yeah, this is a terrible name, I know. So advice combinators just allow you to extend existing functions. Yeah, you could do a lot of things with advice where you can run code before or after a function, which allows you to affect the parameters that are being passed in or the return value that's being passed back, or you could even replace the functionality of a function entirely if you wanted to based on what parameters that are there. So it gives you like full control over how a function gets invoked. So we're externally to the EXWM input fake last command function, we're sort of wrapping it. That's something that the Emacs Lisp runtime makes possible. I suppose even before is good enough for this. I don't need to do the whole wrapping, but yeah, actually what I wanted to do, let's turn it back off after the function gets called. So that is cancel, I think. Cancel debug on variable change, cancel debug on variable change. Okay, so we just say cancel debug on variable change. So we can turn it right back off after that function finishes being invoked. That should be enough, I think, to help us get some insight into what's happening. So now let's go into vterm, and then we're going to get to see whether I wrote that code wrong. With all the errors that are going to pop up, if it works first try, then hooray for us. All right. I don't see any errors. Here we can pop back to XELB log. And now I'm going to try to run the repro. Click. Okay, so here. Oh, did it work? Enter setting last command to EXWM input no op. Great. So that actually did catch the change of the last command to EXWM input no op. So I think if I press Q to exit the debugger here, then it should hit the next instance of it being changed. And if it doesn't, then we've got a whole lot more explaining to do. Back to top level. So did I... Okay, so it still failed, apparently. I'm waiting for the logs to be written out. So, advice invoked. And then we still end up getting the stack trace at some point? No, we don't at all. Huh. Why? Like, it didn't even hit the same error, I think, args. But we still lost the ability to use the keyboard. Oh, arg's out of range. Now all of a sudden it says arg's out of range. What the hell? That's bizarre. I can't click anything. Okay, let's see if we can repro that one more time. That was really weird. So the advice actually sets the breakpoint on the variable. And then the breakpoint gets triggered. I back out of the breakpoint. And then it locks up, but it doesn't throw the same error as it did before. Which doesn't make any sense to me, to be honest. Okay, so click it. Debugger pops up. Let me see. How about I check... Whoops. I'm looking for the key map for this mode, because I want to see what other keys we have. Exiting that frame will enter the debugger. Frame is exited with B. You can remove the flag with U, and debugger invoked. Okay, so it's locked up already. That's really interesting. So does entering the debugger cause us to get locked up, or is it like what happens right after that happens? I see a lot of focus calls. The advice got invoked right along with the button press. On buffer list update. And no error whatsoever. So it's something else. It's almost like something else is actually causing the problem. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. All of a sudden, a key binding worked. Okay, so backed out of that. I think it's saying stuff. Control X, B. No, that didn't do anything. Huh, that's really strange. Okay, let's roll back for a second. So I'm gonna take out the advice because I want to get back to the initial state. And what I'll do in the input code, I need to put some kind of error catching code around executing these hooks, because if I can do that, then maybe I can prevent the problem from occurring, because maybe what's happening is that it's trying to show a backtrace. Look, it's the guy from Emacs from scratch. Yeah, it's me. Let's see. Yeah, I don't remember what the function is for that. So I think there's like a my mom loves you. Okay. So I want condition case. No, that's probably a macro. Condition case. I'm looking for the internal error handling. I should know this already, but I don't. So view in manual. Okay, let's get out of here. Processing of errors. I just want to catch it. Catch and throw. Okay, so there's just a catch. What if I want to catch anything? Because I don't really care. But this is not, yeah, this is like not strictly exceptions. It's more like a general non-local exit, I think. Throw tag value, okay. Examples of catch. How errors are signaled and handled. Okay, maybe it is just condition case after all. Condition case nil. Okay. Gotcha. So basically we just need to copy this and do that. So here's what I'll do. Oops. Come on now. We're gonna drop these two lines in. Delete that line. And does that need to be a prog in? Probably needs to be a prog in. Yeah, it's a single expression. Prog in. Wrap those two. And great. Lispy sometimes gets a little bit too over-eager with deleting. Whoops. Deleting parentheses. I think this is now balanced correctly again. Okay. So now, I guess in the error case, if I wanted to, I could probably write a message of some sort. Debug error. If you want to be able to debug errors that are caught in a condition case, set the variable debug on signal to a non-nil value. I don't really care about that. Condition case unless debugged. That could be useful for package authors, I guess. Here are examples of handlers. Error, nil. Okay, so the nil, if I put something in there, like a message or a log, right? Okay, so let's try that really quickly. I'm going to take this, drop it in, delete that, add a parenthesis. Okay, and also just take the stuff out. Whoops, I forgot the EXWM log. Error occurred. Okay, so now let's go back to vterm and then run it again and see what happens. So this time what I'm hoping is that when I try to reproduce the issue, it doesn't actually hang EXWM. Let's just see what happens with that. And then if it works, I might go check around some other code in EXWM to see if they do error handling like that elsewhere to kind of swallow issues. Okay, I think it fixed it. So just getting rid of the error that happened there was enough to make it so that problem goes away. So let's say create, then I'll click in this buffer. Okay, so everything seems to be working. And probably I'm gonna see in here, yeah, so there's some error occurred. Well, at least one error occurred. Interesting, there's not more. Maybe it's because it hasn't saved the log yet. Should probably set that interval to be, autosave interval to be 1 second rather than 5 seconds. Just for safety's sake, I can do that. Okay, so what did we learn from this so far? Obviously, any unexpected error that pops up whenever EXWM is doing something has the potential to totally hang the entire EXWM session. Mainly because mouse and keyboard events no longer will be handled correctly afterward. Because I think, well, I'm not exactly sure why. I wonder if it's because it happens inside of the message loop from the XELB protocol. Like we have a click that comes through to the client, and the client hits an error, and because it doesn't handle the error correctly, the event loop basically stops working, so it's no longer processing any key or mouse events that come in. That's my assumption for now. So handling the error makes sense, but I guess the problem is if we don't understand why the error is happening to begin with, then swallowing an error is kind of a bad practice. So it'll be nice to understand the nature of the error, but first I want to go check and see what other kinds of error handling is added into the code. so that maybe we can find if there's like a sort of overall strategy for errors in EXWM and maybe follow what the practices are there. Yeah, Bulbous Bullfrog says, I guess we just have to document the error, but it's still unclear what the actual cause is. Yeah, it's very interesting that it happened that way. And it seems that it's not really observable, because by the time the hooks are being run, we don't get insight into, well, let me think about this for a second. Maybe what's happening is that iSearch is adding its own pre-command hook. I think that's what's actually happening. Okay, so let's check that out. Whenever you turn on iSearch while it's active, I think it's adding a hook to the pre-command hooks. And when it gets invoked, let's see. So iSearch iSearch pre-command hook. It's a function, decide whether to exit iSearch mode before executing the command. Let's go check out the code for that. So I think this is what's actually happening. Now that I've thought about this a little bit more. And let's bring back our, whoops. Let's see, we want isearch.el.gz, bring back Firefox. Man, I swear to God, I need to fix my window rules. Can you intercept hooks and disable it for iSearch? Well, yeah, there's another thing where I feel like it's not good to put in custom code in EXWM to handle specific package issues, so it's better if we could figure out why it's happening to begin with and maybe find another way to mitigate it. Let's see. So iSearch pre-command hook. aref key O. This has gotta be the thing it's complaining about, because we're trying to get the 0th element of something that's probably nil. This single command keys, what does this function do? Return the key sequence that invoked this command. It's probably being changed because we're clicking into another window. So what happens when iSearch, when you switch between two buffers, because it doesn't seem to get upset about that. iSearch forward. Okay, so I've got iSearch up here. I click into this buffer and it seems to cancel itself whenever I change buffers, but it's not happening for switching to an EXWM buffer. So there's probably some hook that's not happening at the right time for iSearch to clear its own state before its hook gets run. So it's still trying to process the event for the previous buffer. So let's see, focus, hook, focus in, focus out. I wonder if iSearch is setting the focus out hook in the buffer. Let's see, debug on variable change. Let's see, focus out hook. I'm gonna set it here. Then I'm gonna run no. iSearch forward. Okay, then I'm gonna click in this buffer. Okay, so it doesn't do anything. Let's clear that out. Glenn says, if it's a floating window, is it apparent ownership missing? No, it's a completely different issue. This is iSearch is doing something weird that's conflicting with EXWM whenever you switch to another buffer. And it seems very specific to iSearch, so this is not like a general issue in EXWM. So we might not have a good way to handle this other than just catching an error and potentially writing out the log. Because we're running hooks. We're running the pre-command and post-command hooks, which I'm still wondering why that's necessary. I'm guessing the reason why is because we're faking a command, a no-op command, for some reason. I don't know why that's happening yet. But because we're faking a command, we also need to run command hooks to make sure that it gets interpreted as if it was an actual command that got executed, so that anyone else who's listening for commands sees that. And I'm guessing maybe EXWM is one of those things listening to it. Guess we could figure that out really quick. Let's check. Let's run it one more time. And take a look at the pre-command hook list. I also meant to go and change the interval for autosave. Okay, so I want to look up, whoops. I want to look up pre-command hook. And then if I do, yeah, this might not work. Okay, I hit iSearch. Yeah, as soon as I click anything, iSearch goes bye-bye. So it's a little bit hard to diagnose. I wonder what I can do for this. Okay, here's what we can do. Do a little hacky hack. Call interactively. We'll see if this works. iSearch forward. And then let's write out. Let's move this over to the message buffer. Hooks. And then pre-command hook. Let's see if this works. Come on. I will put this into a function. Define my test. Let's store that and then run, whoops, my test. LDoc pre-command refresh echo area. What if I do this then? Whoa. Okay, so I'm gonna, I think I'm using Vim key bindings in here when I don't have Evo mode set up and it's causing problems. Let's make this interactive. And I shouldn't need to call this interactively anymore. So let's just do this. iSearch forward. Control X. We can run my test. I don't see anything writing out, so maybe it actually locked it at that point. Okay, yeah. That's lame. Try this again. Call interactively. iSearch forward. Let's try my test again. Yeah, it seems to exit out of iSearch forward immediately if I don't actually call it interactively the normal way. Let's see. Well, I guess the other way to do this is to look for the code for iSearch forward and see what it's doing internally. I'm pretty sure that it's... Yeah, close it. I'm pretty sure that it is setting a hook. So, well, let's just check this. We already have the iSearch code open. iSearch pre-command hook. Add hook, pre-command hook. That's coming inside of the iSearch mode function. iSearch mode only sets up incremental search for the minor mode. All the work is done by the iSearch mode command. So iSearch forward, does it turn on a minor mode? Is that what happens? Define iSearch forward. Okay, so lots of docstring. iSearch mode T, cool. So basically it's turning on iSearch mode, which is a minor mode in the current buffer. Setting up some other stuff. So then let's go back where we were before. We saw that it sets up the pre-command hook here, post-command hook, mouse leave buffer hook, a few different things. And then does it ever remove the hook? Okay, so whenever iSearch done gets called, Let's figure out when iSearch done is getting called. So keyboard macro termination hook. Okay. This is in iSearch mouse leave buffer. Interesting. iSearch mouse leave buffer. And I think that was being bound to a hook here. Add mouse leave buffer hook. So, that calls iSearch done. iSearch done. GNU Ninja says, is fake last command recursive if the last command was fake last command? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think we're having that problem here, but yeah, I mean, I suppose that it is possible. Well, no, fake last command isn't a command itself, so it probably wouldn't be. It would have to be invoked interactively, I think, and I don't think it's even an interactive command. All right, so iSearch exit. Condition case nil. Hey, Carlos. So actually terminate iSearching until editing is done. This is so that the user can do anything without failure, like switch buffers and start another iSearch and return. Okay. This code is very hairy for several reasons. Sounds great. All right. Neurotransmission asks, are you actively exploring the code base? Yes. Well, no, we're trying to fix a bug, a specific bug. Basically, the issue is that whenever you run iSearch in one buffer and then click on an EXWM or an X window system window, it locks up Emacs. And it's because there's an error being thrown inside of there, because iSearch sets up a hook that gets invoked and it expects some function to return an array, but it doesn't. So there's a function call there that fails. So actually, I think the more that I look at this, the more I realize that we have no control whatsoever in what the various packages that are set up in Emacs are going to do in pre and post command hooks. So I think we actually do need to catch this error and log it. I can't see any other way around it, because you can't just have EXWM totally break down because some package misbehaves, and especially iSearch. I mean, obviously, it would be nice if we could fix Emacs, because iSearch comes with Emacs. We fix the iSearch code base, then people won't have this issue anymore, because iSearch will know better than to try to index a null value or nil value. But it doesn't help anybody who's using Emacs 27, 26 or below. So we need to do something in EXWM to fix this. So I think that what we've done so far, basically catching the error, is the best thing that we can do for now, in my opinion. What kind of values is the array supposed to contain? It looks like it's checking for key values. So if we look for that again, aref. Let's see, it was an aref call. I think it's right here. This single command keys. It's like basically the keys that were used to invoke the last command. For whatever reason, the array that's returned by this function, they're indexing it for main event. And they're also checking if it's mouse down 1, which is really interesting. But basically, it's not getting it. I guess the other thing you could do is make sure that this returns something, but I don't know exactly how you would do that. This single command keys. More generally, it returns the last key sequence read either by the command loop or by read key sequence. And it's in C source code, so we can't tell what variable it's setting. This value is always a vector. Well, let's see if we can look at the C source code, huh? Path to the C source. I figured this out once before. Share Emacs. Actually, I think this may not work. Projects, code, Emacs, source. Okay, cool. It loaded it. This command key count. Oh, it just returns a vector directly. Minus command key start. This single. Nope. This command This is all in C code. Key count, okay. Yeah, so this is literally being read from the C layer, and there's no intermediate variable where the stuff's being stored. So it seems that we can't fake that, potentially. Okay, so we're still back to catching the errors. So yeah, the setting the last command is not the problem. It's definitely running the hooks, because the hooks could be problematic. All right, so yeah, so maybe you have to fake not only the hooks, but the key pressed. If we could do that, then maybe we could make it work. But I think the more you start faking things, the more weird bugs you can end up with. So in this case, catching the issue, excuse me. Let's do this one more time. I want to try and see if iSearch exits correctly. I think it will. Neurotransmission says, why not check if the vector is empty and throw an error with the call stack and stop the current well, I can't, because I don't have access to that code. It's code that's built into Emacs. Don't exit my session, please. No. All right. Oh, that's why I'm having a problem. Okay, I need to set Xephyr in my EXWM stuff. Okay, here we go. That explains everything. Xephyr. So let me just re-evaluate that function, and now hopefully, excuse me, when I start a Xephyr session, it should automatically set to care mode. What just happened? Oh, focus out hook. Let's cancel that. Cancel, debug, variable, change, focus out hook. Okay. vterm. Let's run it. I would love it if I could fix the iSearch code, but at this point, I don't have the ability to make contributions to Emacs yet. I'm working on that, but can't do it at the moment. And the other problem is that if we fix that bug in iSearch, then it doesn't fix it for anybody else except for who's using the latest version of Emacs. Wes the programmer says, what's prog in? I'm not familiar with eLisp coming from Clojure. I'll tell you what that is in just 1 second. So Control S, click on the window. Huh. So iSearch does not exit correctly, but that's not a huge issue in my opinion. So long as if I press letters, it doesn't actually cause a problem. So is there a Control N? Is there a key binding I can use in this app? What just happened? Did it crash? Okay. Let's try this. GNOME. Where is the menu of this program? I guess it was that button I clicked. Yeah, this is not a good program to use. What else do I have that takes input? What about the GIMP, I guess? Okay, so we got GIMP open here. If I press Control N, okay, cool. It does actually do the new window. So I'm gonna press Control S for iSearch, click into this window, then press Control N. Okay, cool. So the keys still go to the window. That's all that really matters in the end. I don't care if iSearch is left open. Okay, so let me close this out again one more time. I believe that now the what was I going to say? Yeah, the hook for setting care mode is working correctly. Yeah, Bulbous Bullfrog explained it correctly. It's for having a sequence of sequential expressions. So in Lisps, there are sometimes places where when you call a function or a macro, it only expects one expression to be passed. But if you want multiple expressions to be evaluated in that spot, you would use something like progin or do, like you said, in Clojure. So it's just a way to execute multiple expressions and return the value at the end. All right, so let me go back to my init.el. I wanted to bump down the autosave timeout to 1 just for safety's sake. And also, what was the other thing? We can get rid of this. Well, no, let's leave this here just as something that can be used later as an example. Okay. Get rid of that log message. Thanks, West. All right, let's see. I wanted to look at the EXWM code and check out condition case, see where condition case is being used. That's mine. There's one here in EXWM.el, and there's, why is there a fly check? Is this like custom rules for fly check? No. What the hell? Did fly check create that? It's empty anyway. Whatever. So, let's go to, I want to see what's happening there in EXWM.el. Ah, this is at the EXWM init stage. We're calling condition case. Error, let's just search for anywhere errors might be getting caught. There's something. Yeah, condition case still. Error. Let's get out of EXWM.el. Okay, so when demoted errors, okay, render. Okay, that's throwing an error. That's throwing an error. That's my code. Default error, make instance, blah, blah, blah. User error, unless, okay, so that's another throw of an error. I'm seeing a lot of throws, but not really any catches of errors, which is interesting. Yeah, why is it not trying to catch errors anywhere? I'm curious about what the repo says, if there's like any reasoning behind it, the error handling or lack thereof. Okay, so condition case. So there's issues here. Conditional global key bindings. Okay, this is probably not pulling the right stuff. No protocol specified. I'm just curious what this actually says. Yeah. All right. Nothing interesting there. This is probably going to be too broad. Yeah, look, 200 issues. But how about the wiki pages? I'm curious if there's any information here. XDG specification. I'll check that out in a second. Error. Debug on error. Debug all forms. So this is kind of nice, actually. There's a FAQ here that might be useful for people. In fact, let me drop that into the EXWM hacking notes. So let's see. Repository links, FAQ. Okay. For those asking about Wayland, there's an answer to a question here that Chris made a proof of concept for doing a Wayland implementation of EXWM, but apparently it's not possible to implement a Wayland compositor with pure eLisp. Have to find a workaround. I wonder if it's because you need to mess with native or raw memory somewhere. Okay. A lot of good info here. All right, so no real recommendations in the wiki that I've seen so far about how to handle errors in EXWM. So I'm guessing that it's probably okay to do this, especially because we're trying to avoid errors that are being caused by packages that we have no control over. I mean, if you're invoking hooks, in fact, let's actually check and see if run hooks is being called anywhere else in the code base. So kill Emacs hook, that makes sense. So everything else is EXWM hooks. What does run hooks do? Is there like a way to handle errors in run hooks? No, it just says each argument should be a symbol, a hook variable. Yeah, probably just expect you to catch errors yourself if you want to. Okay. And the rest of the hooks that we had seen seem to be all EXWM hooks. So really the ones that are the most dangerous. So kill Emacs hook, that one is not going to affect your moment-to-moment usage of Emacs. I'm pretty sure that hook is purely about what happens whenever you're trying to exit Emacs. So this is the control instance. Keep starting subordinate instances until told to exit. Run server force stop if it exists. Yeah, they're just trying to kill Emacs in this case. So pre-command hook, post-command hook, those seem to be the only two that are like, you know, actively being invoked while EXWM is being used. So they would be the only ones that would possibly need to be caught. Now the other EXWM focused hooks, your package would have to know it's integrating with EXWM to attach to those hooks. So I don't know. I think, in my personal opinion, it makes sense to do this, basically to make sure that no other misbehaving package can't break EXWM. So what I don't know right now is how we would write out the error that occurred. So is there a way, whenever you get an error, let's see, Emacs error handling. I think I have an info buffer up for that already. Info, okay. So you can try to grab a specific error, but I don't know what error it is. Alex says you can try catch. Yeah, this is sort of what we're doing. We're condition case allows you to catch, but I don't know if it gives you access to the actual error itself to pass it along. I don't really want to rethrow it. I just want to, oh, hold on. Error description has a form error symbol dot data. Hold on, wait. For a handler that specifies one or more of these condition names. I think I need to, yeah, okay, so this is what's happening right here. File error. Yep, okay, so I'm providing a binding basically for the name, for the error itself. So how about that? I'm gonna do this. I think this will work. Hook error. Oops. And maybe... we'll do that. And then hook error, and we'll see if it shows up. Okay, I think that's sufficient. What don't you like here? Yeah, of course it's a free variable because it doesn't exist. Do I need to define it first? No. Could be wrong about this. Let's see. File error. Oh, okay. We're catching multiple errors here. This is not a binding. Come on. Argument var is a variable. And oh, is that what the nil here is? How about that? That's probably the right way to do it. Whoops. Var must be, yeah, return value of the protected form. No, that's not what we want. Car error, cooter error. So what, is that a variable that gets bound in the scope? Hey, Alex M, thanks a lot for that. Glad to hear that you got excited about computers and Emacs. That's great. Emacs is very exciting to me. It's sort of like your own little world that you can live in. Also, it has a lot of problems whenever you have a lot of packages installed, but that's part of the fun, I guess. Trying to figure it all out. This deletes file name, catching any error, and returning nil if an error occurs. Trap errors that are predictable. Second argument of condition case is called the protected form. Yes, right. That makes sense. Go into effect when this form begins execution, or deactivated when the form returns. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Covers all errors. Twitch only has my stream at 340p. That's not cool. Probably not readable if that's the case. Search for an applicable handler. Come on, where does it store the variable? Debug errors are caught by set the variable debug on signal to non-nil. What? Each error that occurs has an error symbol that describes what kind of error it is. Yeah. After executing the body of the handler, the condition case returns normally using the value of the last form in the handler body as the overall value. Argument var is a variable, does not bind the variable when executing the protected form. Only when it handles an error. At this time, that binds var locally to error description. Okay, so the variable name you give it as the first parameter apparently does get bound to whatever the variable, sorry, whatever the error is. Okay, let's just try it out and see if it works. Go back to vterm, launch it one more time. And then we're going to try to reproduce the issue and see if the message gets written out the way that I want it to. And if it does, then I think we can call this bug quote unquote fixed for now. And I might actually check in this change. All right, so iSearch, click that. And we're still clear. Let me move this. Occurred. Okay. Cool. All right, great. So error occurred while running command hooks, args out of range. I mean, that doesn't give us a backtrace, but maybe I can call backtrace at that point and see if I can get that whole thing and spit it out. Maybe let's see if I can do that really quickly. Let's close this guy. Yes, exit. And backtrace. Print a trace of list. What if I want to... Okay, yeah. Let's go into the EXWM code. Backtrace. Let's see if we can find... Oh, Does it literally not call backtrace anywhere? That's kind of annoying. Yeah. I want to write the backtrace out, but the problem is it prints it out into the current buffer, I think. What did it say? Come on, dude. What did I just do? Let's not lose that. In fact, how about we go and stage this so that I don't lose it completely. All right, so backtrace. I want to use the backtrace function. Print a trace of list function calls currently active. Output stream is the value of standard output. Oh. Is that a buffer? No, don't do that. Is T. May also be a buffer. Cool. Output is inserted before point. So, yeah, how about this? What the hell? All right, so let. Do I need a let? Probably not. How about this? With temp buffer, was it? With temp buffer. And that doesn't need any first parameter, does it? No, just the body. Okay, so with temp buffer, what I want to do is set q local standard output current buffer. Is that it? Current buffer. Whoa, I'm inside of the set q still. Great. And then I'm going to call backtrace. Then, was it there's like a buffer to string? Buffer to string. Buffer string. Return the contents of the buffer, current buffer as a string. How about that? Buffer string. And I need to set that here. So actually, let's add a couple new lines. Backtrace. S. Drop that down. And then right here, I'll drop that. And then use equals tab to line that up. All right, let's see if this works. Should be okay. Let's launch vterm, get back to Firefox here. Okie dokie. Now we'll see if we get our little backtrace written out. Hopefully this works correctly. That'll be nice to have the bug fixed right at the 2-hour mark. Okay, so now we got this loaded up. Control S, click inside the window. Nothing bad happened, so let's go check our log file and see if it wrote out any backtrace. Oh yeah, look at that. Excellent. So we can still see here that iSearch. Oh, okay. So that's not cool if we can't. Let's see. Filter process, process events. What about hook? Error occurred. Okay, I may have just written the backtrace for where I'm currently at. I wonder if there's like a previous backtrace. Let's see. Let's not do it in this session. Come on. Backtrace. I don't see anything. Let's see. How about this? Emacs condition case get backtrace. Let's see if anybody else came up with a method for doing this. Backtrace on file open. Find out where a function is called from. Try catch and print trace in elisp. How about that? Yes. Yes. But that doesn't actually get me what I want, I think. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's good enough for now. Let me just double check what we see here. So, fake last. If fake last command, prog in. Okay, so it actually does show where we were. So maybe that's good enough. Right now, it's not showing the iSearch thing, but maybe it's because I caught the error. Who knows, man? Okay, at any rate, I think that's good. Let's go with that. All right, so I'm gonna go back to EXWM input.el. Let's pull up Magit status. We added the additional information here. And I think that's good. I'm gonna add this. I'm looking at the commits here to see if there's any sort of commit message conventions, and it does not seem so. So then maybe I'll just go ahead and make a commit here. I'm gonna commit to my master branch so people can pull it down easily. So catch all errors raised when invoking command hooks. Catch and report all errors raised when invoking command hooks. All right. Boom. Now let's paste this or push this to origin, I think is my repo. And I think if we go to my repo, it should show up there. My fork, basically. github.com/davidwill/EXWM. Okay, so it does seem to be pushed there. What I might do is comment back on that issue and tell, I think it was Thomas was his name. Yeah, Thomas Hartman. And that's it. I think we fixed our first EXWM bug. I mean, it's not the most flashy or impressive fix in the world, but it does actually seem to solve that problem, and probably also a class of issues where these pre and post command hooks could actually cause a problem with EXWM locking up. So I think it's a good starting point. And obviously, if other people have suggestions on how to improve this fix, either make a pull request to my repository. I'm pretty sure that PRs are possible on my repo. Yeah, I think pull requests and stuff are active. So if you want to make a pull request to my fork of the repo, definitely feel free to do that. And yeah, at least leave comments also if you see anything else that could be improved. I'll try to do that next time. But yeah, for a 2-hour live stream session, we did a few good things here. We finished our debugging setup, got some logging running out to a file so that we can check stuff if EXWM crashes or hangs, and then fix the bugs. So I'm pretty happy with how that went. Next week, we'll probably try to find another issue and then try to fix that as well, and then continue sort of building our knowledge of how to resolve issues in EXWM. Maybe try to pick something a little bit more difficult to fix, or something that actually has to do with window management, and see if we can learn some things from there. So yeah, that's great. Thanks to all of you for being here today and contributing in the chat. I really appreciate the feedback people were giving and suggestions, because it's always really helpful for me, because when it comes to Emacs, no one person can know everything. So having more brains around is very helpful. So I think we'll do the same stream, or we'll do the stream next Wednesday at the same time and place. And also, we'll still do our stream on Friday at the same time as usual, 9 a.m. on Friday. So we're doing a little bit different times on Wednesdays because I have to shift things a little bit earlier for work. We'll see. We'll see if I change Friday to also 8 a.m. because it helps a little bit. But anyway, once again, thank you all for being here. Had a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll have some more fun the next time. And until next time, thanks a lot for watching and happy hacking. We'll see ya.